And let's go now to Leon Panetta, former defense secretary, former CIA director, and retired Admiral James Stavridis, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Secretary Panetta, Trump says of Putin, I've known him for a long time now. I don't believe he's going to violate his word. Of course, we laid out some of his words, that there's never been any Ukraine in the history of humanity, and Russians and Ukrainians are one people. But those aren't the words that Trump's referring to. He's referring to if Putin says he'll stay out of Ukraine, he'll stay out of Ukraine. Is Trump right to trust him?
Erin, as a CIA director, I had an awful lot of intelligence on Putin and his background and his trustworthiness. And the bottom line is that it was clear that we could never trust Putin's word. You've basically laid out how many times he's violated his word. And I think it's important for the president, and I understand he's trying to get Putin to the table, but he has got to know that Putin is not trustworthy and that anything he does has to be verified. I'd recommend he take Reagan's position, which is trust but verify.
Admiral Stavridis, there was a speech in November that Putin gave. He was talking about his overall view here, which is a new world order and the end of unipolarity, right? Which was referring to the West, but also specifically the United States, which you hear, people who speak to, Russian soldiers on the front lines. It's about the West. It's about the United States. And those, again, are words from Putin, right? A new world order where the U.S. isn't on top of it. So do you think he's going to accept a peace deal in that context and not violate his word?
I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. And I'm with Secretary Panetta, one of my great bosses and mentors. Good to be on with you, sir. I have 2 points to make very quickly. Number one, you need to find some levers to put over Putin. So tell him the day you reinvade is the day we bring Ukraine into NATO. Or the day you reinvade is the day U.S. troops will join the French and the British in Ukraine. Or the day you invade is the day there is an absolute ironclad no-fly zone for Russian forces over Ukraine. You need to put some levers in play there in order to make sure he hews to his word, because as you pointed out and as the Secretary has said, he is not to be trusted.
Secretary, boots on the ground mentioned there by Admiral Stavridis, the Prime Minister of the UK, who Trump met with today, said the UK is ready to put, his words, boots on the ground and planes in the air, their own, to enforce a peace deal. Where, of course, if there's any sort of conflict, right, then that's against a NATO power. That's a direct violation. Trump has not agreed to do the same, right? And obviously, as we understand it, at this point, there are no formal security guarantees in this deal whatsoever. Do you think the U.S., though, should be doing this? Boots on the ground, planes in the air.
I think the United States has been an ally with our NATO friends since World War II. And we have worked in a unified way to try to support Ukraine in this war. And I think the United States ought to be part and parcel of any agreement to be able to provide a security assurance to make sure that Ukraine is protected from the kind of invasion that we've seen from Russia. So I really do believe that the United States ought to be willing to participate in any kind of united NATO force that will assure the security of Ukraine.
Admiral, do you agree?
I 100% do. I'll make another point, which is it could be boots on the ground, but I think a better way to think of it would be to put French and British boots on the ground, but the U.S. provides cyber security. We provide the intelligence. We provide the logistics. We provide the flow of information and goods that support it. We can be the back office for this thing. Yeah. And here's the good news. There's an enormous U.S. military command, which I was privileged to command under Secretary Panetta, U.S. European Command, in place, thousands of U.S. troops. They can be that backstop and that back office. That's the way to set this up.
Secretary Panetta, quickly before we go, I just want to give you a chance to confirm. I believe you've signed with 4 other former secretaries of defense a letter calling on Congress to hold hearings immediately on Trump's firing of the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and other senior military leaders. What do you think needs to be investigated?
Well, look, secretaries of defense, we understand that if you want the right kind of military leadership to be able to guide our forces, that they have to be experienced, that they have to have combat experience, that they have to be people who have a distinguished record in the military, and that they have to be apolitical. And to dismiss the key military leadership that we've had for no other reason but that they were members of the prior administration creates a sense that from now on, military leaders are going to be judged politically rather than based on their military experience. So it's for that reason that secretaries of defense feel that there have to be hearings to oversee just exactly what took place and what standard this administration is going to use.
Secretary, Director Panetta, thank you very much. Admiral Stavridis, I appreciate both of you very much.